Welcome to the Man of Recaps. It's The Walking Dead Season 4. The group took in all the Woodbury survivors last season, so they have a ton of new extras to kill. Things are good here at the prison. Rick's doing some farming. These guys are plucking the zombie weeds. One day, Rick finds this Irish chick who's surviving, and it's like, hey, take me back to your camp. I got 3 questions to ask. See if you can join us. She takes her back to her camp, but her husband's this zombie head, and she's like, I'm gonna kill you and feed him to him. She's like, you know what, I'm crazy. I'm just gonna stab myself to be with my husband. By the way, what were your 3 questions? He's like, how many walkers you killed, how many people you killed, and why? Daryl leads a supply run to the supermarket. Unfortunately, lots of zombies on the roof, and they do fall down. The group makes it out, though, without any casualties, except for this one kid who's a new guy dating Beth, Herschel's daughter. Daryl's like, sorry about your boyfriend. She's like, I'm not really expecting any of my boyfriends to last long in this show. This other new guy is such a loser that he dies of, like, the flu, so he comes back as a zombie, starts eating the other people, which in turn makes more zombies, so pretty soon they're overrun. They do manage to kill them all, though. Now, Herschel was a veterinarian. He's like, this disease seems like pig flu. Rick's like, actually, now that you mention it, I do have a sick pig. Herschel's like, yep, pig flu, called it. One of the guys who died had these 2 little daughters. Carol's been having story time with all the kids, but she's been secretly teaching them how to use knives, so she's like, hey girl, you gotta stab your dad in the head so he doesn't come back as a zombie, but she chickens out, so Carol has to do it herself. The new black guy, Tyrese, has got himself a love interest. Unfortunately, she gets the pig flu, so it's like, alright, quarantine for all the sick people. He goes to visit her, but someone killed the sick people and burned the bodies. He's super sad. Tyrese's sister Sasha gets sick, so does Glenn, so does this new guy who's like their doctor, so Herschel's like, well, I can at least make some herbal tea for them, at great risk to his own health. The supply runners go to get some medicine. They do run into some trouble with zombies, but they get the meds just fine. Fortunately, this guy's bag is almost lost there, but they manage to save it, and Daryl's like, wait a minute, this is just booze. This is all you got? It's like, yeah, you guys had a ton of meds. I figured we could use some booze. Rick goes all CSI to figure out who killed the sick people, and somehow he realizes it's Carol. She's like, yeah, I did it for the good of the group. So he takes her on a run where they find these hippies, by the way, who want to join the group, but of course they die immediately. Anyway, Rick's like, Carol, you're banished because we don't kill the living. She's like, I thought I was doing the good thing, but no, she is out of there. She's banished. Back in quarantine, things are getting out of hand, and there's also some trouble with the fences that they have to deal with, but luckily the guys get back with the medicine just in time to save all the named characters, and the day is saved. Except that the governor is outside. Yeah, where's he been? At the end of last season, he gunned down all his own civilians and drove off with his loyal lieutenants, who decide they're going to abandon him the first chance they get. He goes back to Woodbury, burns it down, starts wandering the earth, grows an awesome Ron Burgundy depression beard. Eventually he finds these 2 hot sisters. They give him some SpaghettiOs. They've got a daughter that reminds him of his own daughter, so he shaves and has a reason to live again. Their sick dad dies, turns into a zombie, so he has to take him out. This traumatizes all of them, so they decide to leave. They go on the road. Even though they're all sharing one big bed, he starts banging the one sister, and one day they're running from zombies. He falls in this hole, and it's his old friend Lieutenant. It's like, hey, we got this other camp now. I'm the boss now. And the governor's like, yeah, that's cool. They've got a nice little camp. It notably has a tank. Awesome. And he's just hanging out with his friend. It's great, but he decides to take him out. He's like, yeah, actually, I'm going to be in charge now. One day, some zombies get into camp. He uses this as an excuse to rally the whole group and tell them we need to go take out the prison. So he goes over there. He captures Michonne and Herschel, and he drives up with the tank. He's like, yo, what's up, Rick? Just let us have the prisoner or we'll kill him. Rick's like, yo, why are you guys following him? He's crazy. He's like, oh, I'm crazy? See how crazy I am? I cut off Herschel's head with a katana. Yeah, so they have to shoot it out. It's this whole thing. Sadly, back at camp, his surrogate daughter gets bit by a mud zombie, so her mom comes and is like, oh no, it's dead. And he's like, oh, my only reason to stay sane. So he's like, it's tank time. Let's just bring the walls down. He and Rick have a final showdown, but Michonne stabs him in the heart, so that's how he dies. Goodbye, Governor. Daryl's like, yo, I can take out a tank no problem with my awesome Call of Duty skills, but without the walls, the prison is totally overrun. The group is all split up now. Rick and Carl find a house. Rick's out of commission for an episode, so Carl's like, oh man, no dad rules. I'm gonna eat a whole tub of pudding. Michonne makes herself some new zombie bodyguards. We get a flashback to see she had a boyfriend and brother who were her originals. Anyway, she meets up with Rick and Carl. Cool for them. Tyrese made it out with probably Shane's baby and the other 2 girls. Luckily, Carol comes back. She was nearby, and she chooses not to tell Tyrese it was her who killed his girlfriend for now. They find this sign for a place called Terminus, and are like, well, let's go there. Maggie made it out with some other peeps. She's still with Glenn, by the way. She put him on the bus, but then, the bus left without her, so she's like, okay, let's find the bus. It's all overridden with zombies, so they take out everyone there, but luckily no Glenn. Where is Glenn? He's back at the prison still. So he dresses up in some high-level Fallout armor, and he finds the surviving sister, who's like, sorry, I attacked you. I thought the governor was the good guy. So these 2 bust out of there, and they find these 3 badass-looking people, led by Abraham, who's this military guy. Turns out they're on a secret mission to get to Washington, D.C., because this guy, Eugene, is a top scientist to fix the zombie outbreak. And it's like, really, the guy with the mullet? Anyway, some zombies show up, so they have to take him out, but unfortunately they hit the truck, so they're out of gas. Glenn's like, I'm gonna go find Maggie, and these guys are like, well, I guess we go with him for now. Daryl and Beth made it out together. They have a fun time camping, eating snake steaks, but then she's like, yo, this sucks, let's get drunk. So they find this country club. She's like, all they have is peach schnapps. Is that good? Daryl's like, no, that is not good. We're gonna go to a cabin where there's a bunch of moonshine. So these guys have a good time drinking moonshine. Unfortunately, as happens if you drink moonshine, they end up fighting, and then end up crying, and then end up deciding to burn their house down. Stay off the moonshine, kids. Rick, Michonne, and Carl staying in this house. Michonne found a new shirt. Rick seems to like his, though, for some reason. Anyway, Michonne and Carl go on a run, but then while Rick's home, these guys bust in there, so he has to hide under the bed, and then he goes to the bathroom, and he finds this guy, so he has to kill him, and Michonne and Carl come back, so they run out of there. They find the sign for Terminus also, and it's like, well, let's go to Terminus. This gang's on the way to Terminus too, but first they find this real nice house, and Carol's like, hey, this is a nice house, maybe we just stay here for a while. But this one little girl, she likes to feed the zombies because she doesn't think they're bad. She thinks they're there's like still people. So she tells her sister, she's like, hey, look, I'm going to kill my sister. She's like, yeah, she'll be a zombie now. It'll be fun. And these guys are like, oh man, this crazy chick, she's like, did I do bad? It's like, yeah, unfortunately, we're just going to have to put you down. So that's traumatizing. And these guys are like, yeah, let's go to Terminus after all. Maggie and her gang go into Terminus too. She leaves a note for Glenn to follow. So as soon as he sees it, he takes off running. And she's like, yo, man, we're still a couple miles away. You can slow down. Anyway, the tracks lead to a scary dark tunnel. So Abraham's like, yo, we're going around because we don't want to jeopardize our mission. But Glenn's going straight through with Tara. This is full of zombies, of course. And she like gets her foot trapped. So it's like, okay, these two are definitely going to die. But the cavalry comes in. They shoot them all down. Who's there? Yeah, it's Maggie. She joined up with this other group and they all make it to Terminus. Terminus seems like a nice, happy place. They're like, hey, welcome. Have a burger. We're definitely not cannibals. Ha ha ha. Daryl and Beth are hanging out, having an awesome Coke peanut butter pig's feet party. Now these two like start flirting. It's like almost a romance arc going on. We all ship it. It'd be great. But knock knock, it's a bunch of zombies. So then as they run away, they all get separated and Daryl goes and he finds this car that abducted Beth. What? So he takes off running after her, but you can't chase down a car. So he like passes out at some point and this gang finds him and it's like, hey, you seem like a badass dude. Why don't you just join us? And Daryl's like, yeah, whatever. And they're like, yeah, we're chasing down this guy who killed one of our men. And Daryl's like, yeah, whatever. Unfortunately, it turns out to be Rick. It was the guy at the house. And Daryl's like, yo, no, it's cool. This is my friend Rick. It's like, oh, your friend Rick? Well, in that case, we're going to beat you up too. But then Rick's like, boom, yeah, I'm going to bite you in the neck. I learned that trick from the zombies. So this gang makes it to Terminus. They decide they're going to go in the back door to scope it out. But everything seems pretty cool. They're like, hey, what's up? And this guy's like, hey, what's up? We're super nice. Have a burger. We're definitely not cannibals. Rick's like, wait a second. Where do you get this watch? That's the Herschel's watch he gave to Glenn. Something's not right here. So they have like a shootout. But these guys are just shooting them at their feet, to hurt them there. And it's like, hey, we've got you surrounded. Now get into this train car where the rest of your group is hanging out. So they're all trapped in this train car at Terminus. And that's how season 4 comes to an end.